Welcome to episode 2 of Save Nightlife, a visual podcast presented by Egg London, hosted by myself, Ben Malone, highlighting the desperate situation that faces venues like Egg all around the UK currently due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Venues like Egg have been unable to trade normally since March 2020, almost a year, making running and maintaining a functioning business nearly impossible. With support from the Nighttime Industries Association and the Music Venues Trust, Egg has launched a crowdfunder campaign to prevent the club from being forced to permanently close. You can find out more information about this crowdfunder, and including a link to donate, below this video. This series has been launched to raise awareness of the cultural importance of venues like Egg and the situations facing them currently. And in episode 2, I am really excited to be joined by house music royalty. Sam Divine and Jess Bays are in the building. How's it going, girls?
Good? What is good?
How are you both?
Well, this is the most exciting thing that I've done in a long time. So yeah,
I agree.
It's a nice distraction from my head in like Twitch and radio shows I've got coming out of my ears. So no, thanks for having us on. It's a really, really important topic and conversation. You know, Egg is one of my favorite clubs. So yeah, anything to help those guys out. Love them guys down there.
Yeah, man, same from me. I think both of our journeys kind of started at Egg, so it'd be really nice to do something for them and just hopefully they can keep their doors open.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of jump straight into it. You both touched on Egg being a key venue for your careers. When did it start with you and Egg, and how, like, what was your first kind of Egg experience?
Oh my God. It was that long ago. I can't even remember. It just feels like I'm part of the furniture at Egg. I can actually go way back before that, like Ali B, obviously, who like heads up Egg. He actually was one of the people first promoters that ever gave me my first show. And it was actually in like the 4th room at Sin on a Thursday night. So Ali and I have been friends for such a long time. I'm not even sure if Egg was like open then. I'm not sure. I mean, this is way back that I'm going now, but it's just, you know, Egg for me was like a very good introduction club when I first moved to London. And Ali has just always been so supportive. You know, Jess and I, we've both run Divine Sounds nights there. And it's such a family affair. And that's why I've probably, you know, been so loyal to them for like 15 plus years.
Yeah, I think for me, I started to discover Egg when I was tour managing for Sam, because that's where a lot of her first shows were. And yeah, we caused some mayhem in that club, especially that beautiful green room upstairs. It's such a great club. And I think a lot of DJs owe them something, because they are the one that will give you a chance. Like even if it's on a ticket-based selling show, or they then book you as a headliner. Yeah, all of us got a lot to owe them.
Yeah,
and I think it's also great that they're renowned for being an international, you know, nightclub as well.
Yeah,
you know, they fly, you know, I mean, I've played many times with Spen from Baltimore. You know, it's like when no one else was really kind of booking him, you know, they're so forward thinking with their bookings as well, which, you know, just gives that extra kind of, well, you know, people that wouldn't have maybe heard an international or an American DJ, you know, you're going to hear them at Egg.
I think the crowd as well is quite international in there as well. Yeah. It's a bit similar to like Ministry. You go there and it's people from all over the country will be in those rooms, and it's just so nice to have you don't know who you're going to meet on the dance floor in Egg.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that we touch on it. DJs kind of owing that venue a lot. I think it's for a lot of people, especially kind of in the London area, it's their first experience of a proper rave.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel like a proper rave as well. You know, you've got your garden. You kind of feel like you're in Ibiza for a moment as well. You know, you could be, are you in London or are you in Ibiza? I mean, and they do the best afters as well at Egg.
Yeah, mate. How many times have we been in that green room till the sun is shining?
Literally. But what I love about them is that, like, going back to it just being a family affair, you know, I know the door picker, that, you know, the guy that does the guest list, and then, you know, the cloakroom staff, and then the bar staff, and then the management, the promoters, you know, just and then even when, you know, They've got their own cab hire firm as well. You know, it's like, look after Sam, make sure she gets home okay. So you're looked after from literally the moment that you rock up to the door until the moment you actually walk through your door at home as well. And you don't get that anymore with clubs, not so much anyway. But with Egg, they really, really look after you as a punter and also as an artist as well. And it's not just you, it's like whoever you're rolling with, you know, get a table or a bottle or whatever, you know, they really, really do look after you. And that's the reason why, you know, they've been one of my favourite clubs for many, many years now.
I think that's why we did Divine Sounds there as well. Yeah. Like there wasn't ever really another club we were going to go and launch the label at, and it was the perfect place to do it because I'm pretty sure we sold out the first one, and it was we had the coolest lineup. We had like Grant Nelson, Harris and Lloyd. Like, it was just sick.
Yeah.
And Sam, you kind of touched on the full list of people that, you know, you say are kind of like a family there. That's, I guess, kind of one thing that people might not really appreciate is the number of people that are on the books of these venues who are reliant on these venues. And it's not just Egg here. This is kind of across the UK. Yeah. You have such a wide range of people employed by these clubs that are now kind of out of work or struggling for work.
Yeah.
It's a tough time to be running a venue.
No, absolutely, you know, and it's a worldwide problem, you know, from like the small promoters right up to the, you know, the festival promoters as well. It's so sad what's happening in our industry, you know, and when we're pretty much nearly a year in of being out of a job, which is just insane. You know, when I used to have one weekend off, I'd be itching to get back out there. And now we've had like 10 months off. It's just crazy. But, you know, like we're saying, it's affecting everyone. It's not just the artists. It's down to, you know, the glass collectors, the toilet attendants, the cloak attendants. It's everyone. And we're just not getting the help or, you know, the recognition from our government. And it's sad because people are going to start losing their houses. Nightclubs are going to start shutting down. I mean, people that have worked really, really hard in this industry for a really, really long time. You know, I hats off to everyone because I don't know how everyone's surviving. You know, I just think the music industry was such a strong community. You know, we're not really moaning that much. You know, we're just trying to stay positive and staying positive for our communities and for our fan bases because, you know, like I've said to Jess many occasions, you know, if we go down, then we've got, you know, a few thousand people underneath us that we're going to bring those people down as well. So, you know, even when I don't want to get out of bed, but I've still got to record my radio show or I really don't want to record a live stream, you know, you just got to put on that smile and just do it. And I don't think people realise like what actually our industry is going through.
It's what goes on behind a live stream as well. Like I don't think people realise, even if we're doing it from home, they're so time consuming and stuff. And we have to really build ourselves up to do it because we're playing in our house that we've been stuck in for 9 months now. And it's really hard. I know we struggle. Like it's hard to get the motivation to get on and do it. But then Davina always tells me like, we do have that community that we need to keep uplifted. And sometimes when it's hard to get out of bed, like that's what drives you to get out of bed, knowing that it's not about you. It's you're putting a smile on so many other people's faces of all age ranges from all over the world. So I think that's one thing that keeps us strong, I think.
And these are people that kind of would normally be in the clubs. So they're missing out on like their kind of maybe biggest weekend hobby. Like, so totally. So we kind of touched on, you know, the live streams and stuff. Obviously, it's been probably the weirdest 10, 12 months of most DJs' career.
Yeah.
How have you both found it? What have you kind of been doing?
For me, I've just been producing. That's all I've chucked myself into. And over the last 12 months, I've been really lucky to put out some great records and they've responded well. I think my track Hold On was put out at the right time because the lyrics are sort of what is going on right now. It's just holding on to whatever you want to chase in life and just not giving up during tough times. And I think I owe a lot to that record for connecting with the people around the world. And I think that's why now my next track, Love We Had, is connected as well, because people are seeing that I'm not just putting out club bangers. They're actually something that has a bit of meaning to them. And I've been just literally channeling all of my energy into that throughout lockdown. I think if it wasn't for production, I'd be in a totally different headspace as well.
Yeah. Do you think that in a strange way, the pandemic has almost helped your production? by kind of forcing you into the studio.
1,000,000%. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. If it wasn't for us having nothing to do, I probably wouldn't have fallen in love with it as much as I have, because before I was a DJ. Then for me, I would never thought I wanted to do anything else other than just play music. And then to have that stripped away from me kind of made me have to look for creativity elsewhere. And I'm so thankful for it in that sense. Aside, obviously, from people getting ill and poorly, I owe a lot to a lockdown and having that 9 months to just do nothing but learn. So yeah, that for me, that was a good thing.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, Sam, I'm sure you've probably seen it from the label side as well. So many producers have just been head down making music. Feels like we could be in for a good year or so of releases.
Yeah, obviously I've got 2 radio shows a week. I've got my Kiss show and I've got my Defected show. And for me personally, there's so much good music coming through. I do believe that people are probably sat on their club bangers, but my thing is like, just make another one, put it out and just make another one ready for when we go back to the clubs. You know, it's like, It seems to be this common theme, like, oh, I'm going to wait until the clubs open. It's like, we don't know when that is. And people still need to connect with music. I mean, like I said, there is some really good music coming through it and connecting. You know, I literally spend all day, every day going through promos or, you know, record shopping or whatever. So, you know, there's definitely enough music for me to fill 3 hours of radio every week and still keep it fresh and still keep it current. There was a time when when we first went into lockdown, is that I was just going through all my old slapper cases with all my old CDs, because I felt like, you know, the more kind of what I call forgotten gems was connecting way more than you know, current music. But now I think it's a nice balance. I mean, we've kind of held off putting music out on the label at the moment, just because in terms of demo, they're not as strong as they were last summer, but there's all dip the Christmas at the beginning of the year anyway. I mean, you know, it's common knowledge between artists, you know, you kind of spend the winter making music and then you put it out in the summer. So I'm hoping people will kind of, you know, step up on that and put their club records out for the summer, because people still want to hear music. You know, streaming is through the roof right now. You know, YouTube is through the roof right now. And these are what the kids are listening to. They're not really buying music, they're streaming music. So I'm really happy with you know, the current climate with the music that's coming through. I think it's great. Can it be better? Of course, but also I think, you know, it's good to note that, you know, a lot of artists that I've been speaking to are having kind of like writer's block as well, because you're not on the dance floor, you're not soaking up the energy. So, and then you can't road test your records. I mean, I've been road testing a lot of Jess's on my live streams. So, you know, we've built up a good thing through live streams.
I actually owe the success of Love We Had to you playing it on the Defected stream. Like, it's true though, because Defected did the stream and have led the streams for the last 6 months. Sure. They've just gone above and beyond with the production and stuff. And then for you to be playing that track before, like, you were the only person that had it for 6 months, and for you championing it, I know you can make or break a record. So yeah, big ups. Thank you for doing that.
But also credit where credit's due. If it was rubbish, I wouldn't be playing it. It's only because it's a banger that I literally play.
We're a great team. We're a great team.
It's a great team. You guys should work together.
Yeah, literally. Incoming. I've got so much admiration and respect for Jess. Like, she is such a hard worker. Obviously, I've been there since like day one of her career, and you know, the little bit of the background where, you know, Jess was my tour manager for 2 years while she was putting herself through DJ school. You know, she's done it the right way, and she had to find her sound. You know, you've been through everything, the disco vibe, you know, you're into like the dubstep and drum and bass, so you're into like house, garage, everything.
I owe that mindset to how you brought me in. Like, seeing how you just have relentless drive is what has given me relentless drive, because I'm just like, you just drummed into my head that you don't want to, like, it's so easy to just make a track and then all of a sudden you're at the top of all the headliners, but then it was you that drummed into me that it's about the journey. And now I fully understand that, because I've had the journey over the last 12 months, just finding my feet, and it's been so much more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be, just shooting to the top, because then where's the fun in that? You have been grafting for it.
Well, the quicker you rise, the quicker you fall. That's what they say.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I get it. I understand it now. I can tick
I
it
taught
off.
you well, young Jedi.
Yes, you did.
Oh, Darthy.
I guess, and we touched on the importance of live streams for breaking new music. Obviously, that kind of role is traditionally fulfilled by DJs in clubs, playing stuff, road testing it out.
Yeah.
Do you think that has kind of, in the last 12 months, has live streaming been like an adequate replacement for that? Or do you think that a lot of tracks have kind of been lost or not had their full kind of opportunity?
Yeah, definitely, because not everyone is doing live streams. Live streams aren't for everyone, I was kind of like, thrown into it at the deep end. I mean, literally within 3 weeks of us being locked down, Defected were in ministry, and I was playing to an empty club, and I was like, what? This is crazy.
But now it's flipped, and you get excited to play to an empty club.
I love it.
Because it's not in your house.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, anything outside of my house. Like, it got to a stage where, like, we were doing so many live streams, I was just sick to death of them. But then, then I went into ministry, did that, and it just kind of gave my love for it again. But, it isn't for everyone. It's very weird playing to your phone camera when you're not really playing to anyone, but knowing that really you're playing to thousands of people, so you have to be on top form. And, Jess and I both said, sometimes you just don't want to do it, but you got to kind of like, put your big girl socks on, pull them up and just get on with it. But I mean,
I
live
also
streams,
think that it's switched to radio as well. A lot of the focus has switched to radio. Like, you'll notice there's a lot of underground artists are now all of a sudden making the more commercial stuff, because that is where it's gone to. Like you said, streaming, everything's switched to streaming now, and everybody's not gunning for your Jamie Joneses to play your track in a club. You're gunning for Danny Howard, you guys to be playing it on radio, because that's now where everybody's listening to your music. So it's just adjusting, isn't it? It's just a whole different ball game now at the minute.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I think, all DJs and producers should be really proud of, is that we have adjusted, we have adapted, and we've just got on with it, and that proves like a massive testament to our industry, and even more so why the government should, help us and help our nightclubs, from closing nightclubs that have been, a staple in so many people's lives. And we're just not getting heard. We can do, I mean, Jess is an activist in that way, which is amazing.
You know what? It's funny you say that it's about us getting heard. I think that one of the most powerful protests I did was when we did it for We Make Events, and we stood outside the Houses of Parliament in total silence. There was thousands of us just stood in silence, and I feel like that is the most powerful thing, to be in such a loud industry. We were standing there saying nothing. We weren't rioting. We weren't doing all this crazy stuff that a lot of people are doing. We were just literally standing there saying, just help us. And still, I don't think we've been taken seriously. Like, I'm pretty sure that we could pull up some sound systems outside the Houses of Parliament, like I have been involved in. I have jumped on the back of a Range Rover and played outside 10 Downing Street. But even that, the police supported us and they guided us through like Leicester Square. And it was just, I feel like they just need to just respect us a little bit more. Like, we're not going about it in a horrible way. We're just saying, help us, because a lot of us have worked too hard for this to just end up doing nothing. And I think it's really sad seeing people having to go back to office jobs and stuff. It's heartbreaking.
Well, even for the ravers, it's like, I met all my best friends on a dance floor in Ibiza, it's
absolutely.
Like, bonds have been created, friendships have been created, it's like, I'm married to a DJ, like it's the ravers as well, because, you do need that release. If you're stuck in a crappy 9-to-5 job that you hate, and then you look forward to going out at the weekends and just having that release, you need that for, your mental health and for your sanity. And people now more than ever are just having to rave in their front rooms, and it's not the same. Let's not get it twisted. It really isn't the same, to have
not the same
connection.
Unless it's in your front room with that sound system.
Well, yeah. Clubhouse.
a couple of weeks ago, before we went into lockdown, it was when we had a little bit of a break. Davino let me have like an Ariana Grande concert in our living room. Like I had a wig on, I had a hat on because she's got this massive boombox, and I literally felt like I was just there. I was like, I feel like I'm back at an event. It's amazing.
It was a beautiful thing. Like we had all the hue lights, disco lights going, and it was like, I'm not a huge fan, but literally my heart was just like, oh my God, she actually feels like she's at a concert. Like
I had the time of my life. Literally,
it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Tap,
like, oh, it was brilliant.
My house is definitely the party house. When we can party again, I can't wait.
As much as Hatcher doesn't like it, it's tough shit.
He hasn't got a choice.
That's where we party.
He ain't got a choice.
But I mean, I guess this emphasizes the importance of, you know, being able to have a party, being able to have a little dance in your house. Like if you guys are doing it, so are people all around the country.
Of course,
and
yeah.
People need that release, and at the moment, as I said, this is kind of like botch job in your living room, and great as your living room sounds, Sam, it's not a club and it's not the same experience that people who, as you said, are working like 9 to 5 longer even, and kind of like need that social release. That
absolutely.
And it's been there's a massive mental health toll of this pandemic and of these regulations.
It's a pandemic in itself at the moment, I think.
Yeah,
it's just nuts how it's at the end of last year was really low point for me, because it was like we got back to having clubs, but we thought that, and I know it was the same for me and Sam. We had shows coming in for New Year's, Christmas, around that, and we thought, brilliant, we're going to actually be able to start seeing people, and of course the financial side of it, we're going to start actually making some money again, because there's not been much help from the government, and then all of a sudden we went back into lockdown, and now we're back here again. It's like, it does play with your mind, because you get excited to sort of things are actually moving, and then Boris comes on the TV and then that's it for another 3 months. It's like it's torture. It's absolute torture.
Yeah, literally.
It's almost been like the sort of false hope of it, isn't it? The first lockdown was new. Everyone was kind of like, okay, we'll just do this together and then it'll be all right.
We're coming up a whole year now. That's a whole year and I feel sorry for anybody that's turned 18 this year. Like that to me was when you go out, even if you go to like a little Oceania club, you're still getting to discover going out, and they've lost a whole year of that. It sucks. It sucks.
And there will be people now who have become so accustomed to not going to a club that will probably just now never go again.
Jam at home in their slippers. Yeah. Why not?
Amen.
There's so much free music. I just need to start charging for everything, you know. It's like we've given away so much free music this last year, coming into this year as well. It's just insane. But do you know what? It's like I get regular DMs weekly saying like how much the live streams have saved them, and you know, they've been in a really, really dark place, and how much music has helped them, and that is why we keep going. You know, you get a message like that and you're like, God, how can I be sad when, you know, I'm so fortunate. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a working studio. I've got a full setup upstairs, which literally is like a nightclub. You know, a massive garden. We had garden parties last year, and just obviously when we were allowed. So, you know, I'm so fortunate. You know, Jess has got her flat, and, you know, she's producing. And so we're very, very fortunate. But, you know, for the people that were maybe up and coming, you know, I couldn't imagine being a bedroom DJ and you just kind of had your first gig, and then a pandemic happens. You're just like going back to being an Amazon driver. Not that there's anything wrong with being an Amazon driver. I might have to actually apply to be an Amazon driver if this carries on the way it's going.
Well, it was really sad thing on Instagram the other day. I saw Patrick Nazemi having to sell his car, and he posted it all on Instagram. It's just heartbreaking that's where we're at. It's just like you said earlier, Sal. I don't know how some people are surviving. I don't know. I don't understand. Crazy,
absolutely crazy. But, you know, like I said, we are in a great position.
It will come back round. Imagine when the doors do open again, we're going to be like, I want to go back to having the weekend off.
Literally, I'm going to be wearing my slippers to my gigs, like legit. I haven't got out of my slippers in like literally 10 months. They've been glued to my feet.
Yeah, but at least your pajama game has now come correct.
I know, right? I know. Come on.
You've got me into pajamas. And I'm not that girl.
I think half the country's got into pajamas over the course of the last 12 months.
My pajama and Ugg slippers are on. Oh, I'm glad we could laugh, guys. I really do. It's just like, my mum says to me, if you can have one laugh a day, then it's been a good day. And that's all you can do, because it's literally, I'm going to cry or I'm going to laugh. It's like, oh. But anyway, we're talking about egg. We're here for egg.
So I want to actually talk about something that is very much linked to egg, but is not directly about egg. It's quite a kind of touchy subject within our industry. These kind of illegal raves that have been going on. What are the thoughts on these? Obviously, there's on one side, there's a kind of nostalgic, back in the day rave scene thing, which some people seem to be fully embracing. But there's also kind of the obviously current, you're in a pandemic situation.
I personally, I can kick this off. I don't agree with them in the slightest. You've got all of us that are actually waiting for clubs to come back. You've got the government looking at us basically in disgust that there are people putting these raves on. There are so many people attending them, where they're going to be spreading the virus so much. It's like, of course, it's making the public look at us like, why would we help your industry when you clearly don't respect the rules? And I'm not for them at all. I don't think they're right. And anybody that is promoting them, not a good look, I don't think. And I will openly say that I don't think it's fair at all that they're happening.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree as well. I also say each to their own, but I just think they are so dangerous. Like, you've got kids going to them. They're not properly manned by, security. Okay, they probably do have security, but I don't know. I just think it's so dangerous. I mean, I used to go free party raving back in the day. It's not back in the day. It's 2021. Like, it's
not even free party raving. They're charging you 30 quid on the door.
And also, let's have it right. Drugs in the 90s were a lot more cleaner. You've got drugs now. We just don't know. You've got rat poison in them. You've got girls being raped. You've got kids overdosing. You've just got all these things that just doesn't happen in nightclubs. And
there's no support. Like, you haven't got your medical staff there. That to me is something why I love clubs, because people don't even realise every club's got a medical tent and a medical room. They've always got ambulance staff on site for if, unfortunately, something does go wrong with people experimenting with drugs. And they're just so dangerous. They're so dangerous.
Yeah, they are dangerous. And also, the DJs, if you are super desperate to play out, I get that. I'm super desperate to play out. I was, a world touring DJ that was playing in America, in Asia, in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, Ibiza, like all over the world. There's no one more desperate to get back out doing what I love than what I am. Do you know what I mean? But I'm sitting tight. Charge a blimmin' Zoom party or something, it's just, there's so many other ways that you can do it. But like I said, each to their own. If that's your vibe, I'm not going to judge you. That is your vibe. But for me personally, and Jess, we spoke about this quite a lot. I
actually nearly folded and did one like towards the end of last year, because it was like, you're watching a lot of people doing them and because so many people are attending them. Yeah, they look amazing. And that's exactly why I was like, I'm going to do one. And then I actually sat back, I was like, hold on a sec. No, you're not. You're not encouraging that at all. And it's hard because we want to play so bad. And then when you see some of these raves going off, especially the warehouse ones, they look insane. But then you need to think back to what's going on behind the scenes. There's no safety involved in them at all. And a lot of them don't even have toilets. And we're trying to stop germs spreading. I mean,
yeah. And I just think, the biggest thing is that it's kind of prolonging our industry to get back.
Absolutely.
As well. You made such a valid point where, police are rocking up, shutting down these raves, and they're just thinking, well, you're not taking it seriously, so you can just go to the back of the par when there's like thousands of DJs waiting to get out there, and then there's a few DJs that are just kind of ruining it for everyone else.
That's it. It really is a kind of minority that are ruining it for the rest of us, because it's, as you said, it's not just the kind of pandemic safety aspect, is all the elements that are catered for in a club or in a properly organised festival that don't exist at these parties. So
just wear your mask and stay at home.
Yeah, just wait it out, man. Just wait it out. We're all waiting it out.
We've come
We're
this
a year
far.
in. We're a year in. The finish line is so close.
Just stay in, guys, please.
So we talk about these parties being kind of outside. These aside, kind of, I guess as we approach festival season, organised legal festival season, obviously the big news dropped last week that Glastonbury is not going to go ahead. A massive blow for festival lovers and music fans everywhere.
Yeah. I just feel like with Glasgow, it was the right thing not to do it, because Glastonbury is about the amount of people there, and it's about the getting dirty when you're camping and stuff. Exactly. It's another world you get lost in. And to do that social distance, I feel, would just take away what Glastonbury stands for. So I think with that one, it's definitely the right thing to just wait until they can actually do it, not having to social distance. Hopefully we get to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any, if I'm being totally honest, any UK festivals are going to happen this summer. I think Europe will open up first. You know, Croatia was one of the first ones to open up. I mean, I'm praying that Defected Croatia goes ahead this summer. It looks pretty promising. I don't think we will have an Ibiza season. If it does, it'll be much later on in the summer. And I've kind of written this year off, if I'm honest. And I've kind of made peace with that as well. I mean, if we get back in Q4, excellent. If we don't, it's definitely going to be at the beginning of 2020. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I've kind of, I'm enjoying self-development and working on myself. I've got a life coach that I check in with every week. I've picked up my kind of producing hat back on now as well, making records and hopefully. There's just so much still that, to keep you busy. So, for a DJ going, oh, there's nothing going on. Well, do a Zoom party, do a Twitch party, start a record label, start a radio show. Like these things, you can do these things for free. You don't need money to set these things up. So, okay, if you want to, put on an illegal rave, there's other ways of making money.
I also think, touching back on the festival side of things, there are a few social distance festivals that I think will go ahead this year.
Yeah.
And to me, people might not like them, and this was the same as last summer when we were doing them. Me and my manager sat down because I was playing them and I was coming off feeling rubbish. Like I just felt like I was playing rubbish and I wasn't connecting with the crowd because they weren't close to me, because obviously everyone's distanced so much. And my manager actually said to me, like, it's not about you. All these people have finally been able to come out and do something, even if it's social distance. You just got to flip your mind and look at it. It's VIP raving. You don't even got to get up to get a drink. They bring it to you now. So it's just enjoy it for what it is. And it was ever since then, I was like, you're so right. Like, play. And I was almost scared to play a proper housey set, like banging stuff, because I'm so used to now radio stuff. It was adjusting. But then when you actually go for it, like seeing like Patrick Topping, Salados do the tech house stuff, it's going off. It's absolutely going off because people want to hear it. So it was like, I think it's going to be like that again this year. Like there'll be pop-up festivals with like 2,000 cap, and it's amazing if we can get to do that. It's bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sam, you mentioned quickly Ibiza. It sounds like you're pretty negative about the chances of an Ibiza season. There was kind of lots of umming and ahhing towards the end of last year. Are we going to get anything? Are we going to get nothing? And it kind of ended up in nothing, didn't it?
Yep.
Expecting the same for this year then?
Yeah,
I don't think gave it a good go, but
yeah, they did give it a good go. They did. I don't think it's more like being negative. It's more like just being kind of real, because people just keep getting their hopes up, including us. It's like, oh my God, we're gonna. I was meant to do a party on New Year's Day, and then that got cancelled. Then I was meant to do something in Bristol, then that got cancelled, and it's just like, so now, unless if I've got my boarding pass in my hand and I'm actually on the plane, that's when I will believe it, like legit. So, I mean, I actually spoke to Simon Dunmore yesterday, and he was saying, we might have a season at the end of July. And then literally today, Boris has just gone on and said, furloughs extended, lockdowns extended. So it's like, so now I just don't believe anything anymore. Like I said, unless I'm sat on that plane and I've got a boarding ticket for Ibiza in my hands, I'm just not going to believe it. Because I think, the worst thing you can do is just get your hopes up, because I feel like at the moment it's like one step forward and then just 10 back every time. I was meant to be playing in Dubai in 2 weeks' time, and then last week,
that's all now gone.
Yeah,
no more live music.
Yeah,
but you know what? I feel like that was coming, man. Yeah. That was coming. All the influencers ruined that for us.
God damn Z-listers. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think we're definitely going to have to rely on social distancing at festivals. Obviously, they're not going to be at full capacity. We might have a festival kind of September, October onwards. There's talks of that. I mean, socially distanced parties, they're not great. I mean, who wants to sit?
What's the vibe on these parties? They are
so
different to the kind of essence.
Depends if you get a good venue or not.
Yeah,
to let you have a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, well, and what the security like? I mean, I had such a good run of socially distanced parties last year. I felt like I was really, really lucky because my first one at Night Tales, like literally on the Sunday, then on the Monday, they kind of you couldn't have like 8 people at table. I mean, it was wild. It was an amazing day, and it really didn't feel like we were in the middle of a pandemic. Like legit, everyone was, and then I came off the decks and I was like, oh my God, that was really bad because I wasn't like walking through with my mask on. We just completely forgot, but it was so nice just to forget that we were in a pandemic. But then I've done another one and literally, you know, you can stand up and, you know, you could just be getting your phone out of your pocket and the security or you sit down and it's soul destroying. You know, we have to get on the mic and go, please guys, can you sit down? That to me is not what partying is about. Like, I don't want to be playing at those kind of parties. Like it just doesn't, you know, and the luckily Jess did the last one as well, and you know there was a really good sound system, so that helped. But I mean, because a lot of them are having to be restricted sound now, and this like the sound is. I feel like one people that really nailed it was Love Juice team at E1 when they went back inside. They had the full setup in there, and it was one thing. It actually felt like a rave, even though you had to sit down. The music levels were loud, and it was like it so felt like a rave, for sure. And that's important to give that back to people. And people, if they want to party that much, and if they want to be out, they'll respect it and sit down and get on with what we have to get on with for the minute. Yeah. And I think it's just going to take, you know, a few times of people going to socially distanced parties to, you know, to know the drill, because people then rude to the security. Like, I'm not sitting down. You're like, well, you are, bruv, because you've got to sit down. Like that's the drill. You know what I mean? If you don't like it, there's the door. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, busting our balls on it, and it's just the way it is. But people do still want to go out. They do still want to like feel like they're in a kind of it's more of a pub environment. Obviously, it's not a club environment, but
you know what? I'll never moan ever again about somebody sweating touching me in a rave. I will never moan. Now that's all I want. I'm like, come
standing on my kicks.
Come next to me. Let's do this. I'll never moan ever again.
It does feel like
standing on my brand new Jordans.
It does feel like we're all going to return to normal raving, whenever that may be, with like such a kind of renewed excitement about it.
It's going to be so overwhelming. I genuinely feel like the first time I step back into a club, I'm going to cry my eyes out, just because I'm like, I've missed this. So, and I feel like maybe we didn't realize how much we rely on it ourselves to keep happy. That's our passion. And we're so lucky that we actually get to be able to call this a job, because it's not a job, is it? We're doing something that we love every single day. And it wasn't until it was stripped back and taken away from a lot of us that we realized this is literally like my livelihood. And it's what makes me get out of bed in the morning and keep driving.
Bro, we cry at socially distanced parties. We're going to be in floods of tears when we go back to clubs.
Hey,
thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming.
Single one of yours. I've cried at every single social distance party you've done. I'm in that toilet going, it's so overwhelming. Everyone's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know.
Get Bays a box of Kleenex in the bloody boat.
It's pathetic. I'm going to be literally cowering in the corner when we go back into fabric or something. I'll be like, God's sake.
We're such girls.
I know, we're such girls.
I reckon the geezers are going to be shedding a tear or two when we get back.
100%, mate. 100%.
So,
come on.
I want to just kind of bring it back to Egg and venues kind of at the moment. What would be the kind of cultural loss to our UK scene if venues like Egg weren't to reopen after this pandemic?
Oh, it will be catastrophical. You know, it's like, it's church for some people, you know, it's where they go and just go and just lose themselves on the dance floor. And if nightclubs shut, where else are people going to go? That illegal raves, that isn't the answer. We've already touched base on how dangerous those are.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It will just be absolutely devastating. Like, literally, I'm getting emotional even just thinking about, that's my weekend office. That's where I go to, release. And such a good question. Such a good question. Such a good question.
I don't know where the whole culture is going to go. I think it's going to be so bad if there's no pubs and clubs for people to go to, it's not even just about going to party. You meet so many different people, and that is something that I'm such an extrovert person. Like, I need to go out at the weekend and meet new faces and be around all my friends, and to have that stripped back has been such a struggle, because you don't, like Davina said, our girl gang is because we've met people, like Sam's met them in Ibiza, and now we're absolutely community. And if it wasn't for this community that we've created within ourselves, that's what keeps us going during, like, if one of us is down, we're all on it. We're all sending some flowers or something. Yeah, literally, and we owe the dance floor to that. So if it's gone, it's a scary thought.
I mean, it's in our DNA as human beings to go to the pub, to go out for dinner, to go out raving, to go on holiday and party. It's just in our DNA. It's like the first days of the Bible. Do you know what I mean? It's like page one. It's page one, like music. It's
tequila.
It's so important. I mean, I do love a quiz on Zoom, and I do love a Twitch party, but it's just
what it is? I just want to go out for dinner. I want a really boozy dinner with my girls. That's what I love to do. And even restaurants, there's so many restaurants now that aren't opening their doors again, and it's just horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. That's it. Obviously, we're focusing on kind of clubs and venues, but it's a whole hospitality industry.
Absolutely,
I'm sure that people could probably be doing a podcast about restaurants, who are probably more qualified than us to talk about them. But yeah, it's a whole industry, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Literally as a whole.
Yeah, it's just, but I do feel like there's kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, can it go on for 2 years? I mean, there'd be a revolution.
Do you know what it is? The events industry and the hospitality industry bring in something ridiculous like £1.3 billion into the economy every single year. Yeah. And I just don't get how they're not trying to find better ways for us to remain open, because that's where people go. It's just, there's so much money to be made there for the government, not even for us, but like to generate revenue for the government. I just don't get why they're not helping it get open a lot sooner. It's just turn us to like reskill and stuff. It's nuts. Some of the madness that's come out of Downing Street is just crazy. Crazy.
Literally.
It does feel like it's an industry that is being hit particularly hard by regulations.
Massively.
Yeah. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know why. I mean, it's, most of the people in government are old farts and probably just don't, have any appreciation for music, culture, or any of those things, because if they did, they'd be approaching it completely different. Like, I get it. We can't go, we can't be in herds of people. I get that. But, let's set these nightclubs up like Egg to have, temperature tests as you walk in, sanitizers everywhere. There was a club that we were going to be working with, actually, Jess and I, back end of last year, where they were introducing, you have to kind of like walk through a walkway and then you're kind of sprayed with.
It's like not disinfectant.
That sounds very strange. But
it's but they've got them now in a lot of clubs. I think they've got them in America and Dubai. So the other countries feels like 10 steps ahead of the UK right now. And it's like, they're not even trying anything. It's nuts. But there was one thing last year, they shut all of our pubs on this mad curfew, but kept the one open in Parliament until like 3 a.m. And it wasn't until somebody got in there, like the press, that was even exposed. It's just one rule for us and another for the other. It sucks.
I just think, the clubs could open like 50 to 70% and still actually, pay everyone's wages, pay the bills, keep the doors open. But then, they can't just magic money out of thin air. So the government should, invest a little bit in, because it all goes back through taxes and VATs into their pockets anyway. So yeah, I just really hope that we don't see clubs shut like in, this year, because that will just be devastating. I mean, we already lost so many clubs like the Ends, Canvas, The Key, Term Mills. We already lost all of those clubs 10 plus years ago when the council came in and ripped the clubs down and built up residential areas, and that I remember how sad everyone was when that happened.
That's what worries me, that's going to happen again. Because the council how long have they been trying to close Ministry because of the location for it? That's been an ongoing thing for years, as long as I've been going to that club. So I feel like it's a really worrying time where people are going to actually have to think about selling the land because they can't physically afford to keep it open. And I feel like the government are just there like waiting, like, yes, we've got the space now. And it's just, it's worrying, very worrying.
Well, that's it. This wasn't an easy industry before COVID. This was an industry that was sort of struggling in that respect. It was a perfectly viable business industry, but it was struggling from external factors already. And this has kind of just made that 10 times worse.
Yeah. I feel like we're experts in crowd management. So if anyone's going to be able to navigate their way through managing crowds and keeping it safe, then it's going to be us. So let us have the chance to look after people and still be able to party in the right way.
Yeah.
Sam Devine, Jess Bays, thank you guys so much for coming on this episode. It's really, really good to talk to you both.
Thank you for having us.
One final question. 5 years from now, how are we going to look back at 2020, 2021?
It's going to be a myth. It's going to be such a myth. Like,
be a laugh.
Literally. It's just going to be like memes for days, or memes for days. It's just, I mean, the thing is, I've actually taken really, really positives from this. So I'm actually going to look back on it and go, that was the year that I, set up my, the online lives and Twitch and radio shows and all this. So I've actually self-development. So I'm looking back on this time as a very positive thing. But in 5 years' time, I think it'd just be like, oh, what? COVID, what? I hope so. Because I think when we get back to clubs, everyone would just be like so consumed by it. I think you'll kind of forget, unless obviously, you've lost someone dearly to you. I think most people would just be like, oh my God, that was just a crazy point in time. We've had crazy points in time loads before with like wars and
that's what it kind of feels like we're living through. I feel like we're living through an invisible war where we can't see the enemy, and it's quite terrifying. And do you know what? We're probably going to be that part in the history where in 20 years' time, when kids will learn about it in school, they're going to be like, did that actually happen? You have to stay in your houses for 9 months. I can't wait for the future. I'm just, now the vaccine's here, I know people are a little bit dubious of it, but it's what's going to give us the future. So I feel like just roll it out, take it on the chin. If you've got to have it to travel, so be it. I hate injections, so I'm going to fight at every corner because I don't like needles. But I feel like just accept what's happening, and then hopefully the future will be bright.
Yes, agreed.
Great. Thanks, guys, so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Ben.
Big ups, babe.
To everyone watching at home, Egg is, in a pretty desperate situation. If you can spare anything, there is a crowdfunder. We are running it. The link is below this video. If you can spare any donations, head to the link below.
Do it.